Imagine a secret, hidden story about one of the most famous women in the world. A story about her last wishes, things she wanted for her children and friends that were changed after she was gone. What if I told you that Princess Diana, loved by so many, wrote down exactly what she wanted to happen to her special things and money, but almost none of it turned out the way she planned? Princess Diana had a lot of money, about 21 million pounds. She wrote a letter that was very clear about who should get her jewelry, clothes, and money. She trusted her mom and sister to make sure her wishes were followed. But just a few months after she died, they went to court and changed almost everything she wanted. This is the real story of Princess Diana's last will. It's about promises that were broken, a secret court order upset godchildren, how her famous engagement ring ended up with someone else, and how her money helped one prince leave his royal life and another get ready to be king. Get ready, because this story will change what you thought you knew about Princess Diana. Diana wrote her will when she was 32 years old on June 1st, 1993. At that time, she was still married to Prince Charles and doing her royal duties. The famous TV interview where she talked about her life, her divorce, and her sad death in a car crash in Paris were all still years away. Diana's will was pretty simple compared to other royal wills, which are often kept secret for many, many years. For example, Prince Philip's will was sealed for 90 years after he died. But Diana's will was made public in 1998, and what was inside surprised many people. She chose her mom, Frances Ruth Shand Kidd, and her sister, Lady Sarah McCorquodale, to be in charge of her will. These two women were supposed to give out all of Diana's things and money. At first, Diana had also included her private helper, Patrick Jeffson, but after he left his job in 1996, she changed her will to have her sister take his place. The very next day after signing her will, on June 2, 1993, Diana wrote a special letter. This personal letter clearly explained how she wanted her belongings to be shared. She asked that all her beautiful jewelry go to her two sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. She wanted their future wives to be able to wear it someday. She also wanted 3/4 of her personal things, her clothes, photos, furniture, and art, to go to her two sons. The last quarter was supposed to be shared among her 17 godchildren. Diana's money and things were worth about 21 million pounds. This money was put into a special fund for William and Harry. They were supposed to get their share when they turned 25. She also left 50,000 pounds to her butler, Paul Burrell, who she trusted and who had worked for her for 10 years. A special fund of 100,000 pounds was also set up for her sons and their future families. Diana wrote her will with a lot of love, clear thoughts, and trust. However, almost every important wish she made would be changed after she passed away. Diana died on August 31, 1997, in a terrible car crash in Paris. She was only 36 years old. At that time, Prince William was 15 and Prince Harry was 12. Everyone in the country was very sad about losing her. Soon after, the legal process about her money and things started. In December 1997, just 4 months after Diana's funeral, her mother and sister went to a special court in England called the High Court of Justice. They asked for a special paper called a variation order. This paper would let them change how Diana's money and things would be given out, even though it was different from what she had written in her will and her special letter. The court said yes to these big changes. First, the age when William and Harry could get their money was changed from 25 to 30. They could start getting some of the money's earnings when they turned 25, but they wouldn't get all of it until they were 30. The reason given for delaying the money was that people worried they might not be able to handle so much money at a young age, especially since they were famous princes. Even though this might seem to make sense, Diana had specifically chosen 25, and her mom and sister made this decision without asking the princes, who were still kids. Second, and this caused more problems, Diana's plan for her godchildren was mostly ignored. She had wanted 1/4 of her personal belongings to be shared among her 17 godchildren. This meant each child would get items worth about $160,000. But instead, her mom and sister decided that each godchild would only get one item, and they would choose what that item was. Many families said these items were just small, cheap souvenirs, like a coffee cup set or a small statue, and not the special gifts Diana had wanted them to have. What's even more surprising is that the changes to Diana's special letter were kept secret for many years. The godchildren's parents didn't know about these changes or get to say anything about them. The truth only came out during a different court case involving Paul Burrell, Diana's butler, who was accused of taking things from Diana's home. When the godchildren's families finally found out what had happened, they were very shocked and upset. The court allowed Diana's mom and sister to change her wishes because her letter used words like discretion and wishes instead of strong commands. The word discretion gave them the legal power to change how her legacy would be handled. Now let's talk about the famous engagement ring from Diana's belongings. This ring has a big, beautiful blue sapphire stone, like an oval, with 14 sparkly diamonds around it, all set in shiny white gold. It has become one of the most famous pieces of jewelry in the whole world. When Diana first got it in 1981, it was worth about £47,000. Now it's thought to be worth more than £400,000. Diana chose it herself from a jewelry book, which surprised the palace because it meant anyone could buy the same ring. But Diana made it very special and priceless because she wore it. After Diana died, her sons were allowed to pick some things from her jewelry collection. According to Paul Burrell, Diana's former butler, William chose her Cartier tank watch, which she got as a gift on her 21st birthday. Harry chose the sapphire engagement ring because it reminded him of holding his mother's hand and feeling the big stone against his small fingers. For many years, the story was that when William wanted to ask Kate Middleton to marry him in 2010, Harry kindly gave him the ring. This ring was his most precious item from their mother, and he gave it to William so Kate could wear it as the future queen. This was a sweet story about the brothers showing their love for their mother and keeping her memory alive. However, in his book Spare, which came out in 2023, Harry told a different story. He said the popular story was absolute rubbish. He claimed that William actually asked for the ring after their mother died, and Harry was happy to let him have it. He said he never really had the ring, so the part about him handing it to his brother didn't happen. No matter which story is true, one thing is clear. Diana's engagement ring now belongs to Catherine, the Princess of Wales, just as Diana had wanted. In her special letter, she said her jewelry should go to her sons so that, in time, their wives could wear the pieces. So, in that way, at least one of her wishes came true. By the time William and Harry turned 30, each of their shares from Diana's money had grown to about £10 million, or around $16 million. After paying taxes and fees, the money was invested and watched over by royal helpers for many years, which helped it grow a lot. For Prince William, this money from Diana was important, but it was mostly extra money. He was already going to be king someday, so his future was set. Now, as the Prince of Wales, William controls a huge private estate called the Duchy of Cornwall, which is worth over £1 billion and makes millions of pounds each year. Also, William and Harry reportedly got another $20 million from their great-grandmother, the Queen Mother. While Diana's money was a good start, William's money future was always safe because of the crown. For Prince Harry, the money from Diana was different. It was like a lifesaver. In a TV interview with Oprah Winfrey in 2021, Harry shared that after he and Meghan Markle decided to step back from being senior royals, the royal family stopped giving them money. Diana's money helped them move to California and start a new life. Harry told Oprah, "I've got what my mom left me, and without that, we would not have been able to do this." Think about this. The money Diana saved for her younger son in 1993, when he was just 8 years old, helped him break free from the royal system that Diana herself had struggled with during her life. In a way, Diana's last gift to Harry was the gift of freedom. However, this situation makes us wonder about something important. Did Diana's mom and sister delay the money until the princes turned 30 because they thought the princes needed more time to grow up? Or was there another reason? Some smart people think that Diana's family, the Spencers, might have gained something from the delay. For many years, they showed Diana's belongings, like her famous wedding dress, at their family home, Althorpe House. They made a lot of money from people coming to visit. We don't know if this played a part in why they asked the court to change things, but it's a question that still doesn't have a clear answer. Diana cared very much for her godchildren, and how her will handle them is truly sad. She had 17 godchildren and asked in her special letter that 25% of her personal belongings be shared among them. This request was very important to her and was written just one day after she signed her will, showing how much these children meant to her. If her wishes had been followed, each godchild would have received items worth around $160,000. This would have been a very meaningful gift for them, not just for the money, but also because the items would have reminded them of Diana. Diana's collection included photos, artwork, clothes, and other special things that were very important to her. But instead of doing what she asked, the people in charge of her estate decided to give each godchild only one item. The godchildren or their families didn't get to choose these items. Diana's mom and sister chose them themselves. Many families received small things for the house, like plate sets or small statues, that didn't feel connected to Diana's memory. Some even said these items were like cheap souvenirs. The situation was made worse because no one was open about what was happening. For years, the families of the godchildren didn't know about Diana's specific wishes. The special letter was not shared publicly when her estate was being handled, and Diana's mom and sister didn't tell the families it existed before going to court. When the truth finally came out during a court case, many people felt deeply betrayed. Diana had chosen these families to be important in her godchildren's lives, but their children were quietly left out of her legacy. Legal experts now use Diana's case to warn other people about how a letter of wishes might not always be followed when planning what happens to your things after you die. Because the letter used loose words instead of clear commands, it didn't have the legal power to overrule what Diana's mom and sister decided. The lesson is clear. If you want your wishes to be honored, write them directly in your will, not in a separate letter. What does all of this mean in the end? On paper, Princess Diana left her money and things to her two sons, with some money for her godchildren and her butler. However, the real story is much more complicated and shows us more about the people who lived on after her. Diana wrote her will when she was young, trusting her family to do what she wanted. She thought her mother and sister would follow her instructions very carefully. She also believed that a handwritten note, signed the day after her will, would show her true plans. Sadly, she was wrong about both. Even with the legal problems and broken promises, Diana's true legacy is still very strong. Her engagement ring now belongs to Catherine, Princess of Wales, just as Diana wished, saying that her jewelry should go to her sons' future wives. The beautiful sapphire ring shines at important events, connecting Catherine to Diana in a way that no court decision could ever change. Diana's money gave Harry the freedom to leave the royal family and make his own life, a freedom that Diana herself never had. When Harry told Oprah that his mother's money made everything possible, he showed a very important point. Diana continues to protect her children even after her death. Even though her beautiful tiara, called the Lover's Knot, technically went back to the crown after her divorce, it has become closely linked to Diana. Catherine often wears it for important royal occasions. Diana's kindness, her way of dressing, and her ability to connect with everyday people live on through the woman who now has her title. Also, Althorpe, Diana's childhood home and where she is buried, is a private island on the estate's lake, surrounded by trees and quiet. It is not open for the public to visit. William and Harry will not get Althorpe when they are older. It will go to Diana's nephew, Louis Spencer, because of old laws that favor male family members. However, they will always be able to visit the island where their mother rests. Diana's brother, Charles, has said that it is important for his nephews to visit whenever they want. Princess Diana wrote her will when she was 32, believing she would have many more years to change it and make sure everything was perfect. Sadly, she didn't get that chance. The people she trusted chose to change her wishes instead. But what they could not change was Diana's love for her children, her desire to take care of the people she valued, and her wish for her memory to live on. 28 years after her death, her ring still shines bright. Her money still offers protection. Her sons carry her name and her kind spirit into a world that has always loved her. No legal action could ever change that. This is the full story of Princess Diana's last will. The trust that was broken, the secret court order that changed her wishes, the godchildren who were forgotten, the different stories about her engagement ring, and the money that shaped the lives of her two princes in ways no one expected.